tactics. I think tactics is very, very important to talk about tactics. Now, I've said a lot about the 3-4-3 formation. Sometimes I don't want to repeat myself. But I'm telling you that 70% of the teams that play 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 in the Premier League on paper, right? 70%. And that's a very, very big percentage. And I'm being conservative. When you check, because I've said it many times, and people don't understand football tactics, we agree with me. Your formation on paper matters not. It doesn't matter. It matters the least. It doesn't matter. The real formation is what you do on the ball and off the ball. Football is divided into 5 areas, tactically. Football is divided into your attacking, your defending, your attacking transitions, your defensive transitions, and your set piece. So I cannot really say what you are doing until I see how are you attacking. If as Arteta Arsenal starts with a 4-3-3 on paper, I've said it many times before, and they tell me they are playing 4-3-3, and on paper it's 4-3-3, but when they start the game and I see them in the attacking phase of their game playing 3-2-5, that means in actual fact it's 3-2-5 they are playing. But also when I see them in the defensive, sometimes I see them set up themselves sometimes in a 4-4-2 off the ball, 4-4-2 defending. I see, okay, now they are playing a 4-4-2. That is how to approach the game. But looking at a, what they call it, paper formation and saying this is exactly how we play throughout the 90 minutes, that means clearly, that means I'm trying to be careful with my words here. It's wrong. Let me not talk much. That's not how it plays. Because football is not based on what you start with. Football is based, as I said, in 5 areas. Football tactics is 5 areas. Attacking phase, defensive phase, attacking transitions. That's when you lose the ball. What shape are you taking? Like when you win the ball, what shape are you taking to attack your opponent in your attacking transitions? Defensive transition. When you lose the ball, what phase are you, what shape are you taking to defend the ball and set piece? And when I see people just think that if it's 3-4-3, it's 3-4-3 all true, it's a lie. Football tactics is like an amoeba. It takes shapes, different shapes in the game. There are teams that still use 4-4-2 in today's era. But the fact is, they are doing 4-4-2 maybe off the ball. Sometimes they do 4-4-2 on the ball. And maybe their starting formation is 4-3-3. And you'll be deceived to think it's 4-3-3 they are playing all through. I don't want to talk much about that area, because I think I have hammered that so much. And maybe people that understand tactics understand what I'm trying to say. Another thing I've seen is people say Ruben Amorim is stubborn. He doesn't want to change his formation. But the question is, why is it that when we were losing, or when a team is losing playing 4-3-3, you never tell him to change his formation? Or the manager to change his formation? The manager to change the formation when they are playing 4-3-3 and they are losing. Nobody ever says 4-3-3. You are using 4-3-3. Change the formation. Nobody ever says it. Most people don't talk, say, okay, the players are not playing well, or this man there is not good, but nobody ever mentioned. So the question is the question really about the 3-4-3? Or the problem is that you don't understand the 3-4-3? Or when people say they overload the midfield, yes, I understand that. For Man United. But I also understand that when we were playing under Eddie Ten Hag, when we were doing the high press, they also overloaded our midfield. They also, what they call it, they also overloaded our midfield. Teams overloaded our midfield. I've said this before. So is the question really a formation? It's a question. Or maybe the personnel. And these are the questions I want to ask. Because I've seen teams also, which are also coming to the likes of Crystal Palace, that play the same 3-4-3. And maybe they might not be dominating play, but you also get results using it. As you guys know. So what exactly? Is it the formation? Or the personnel? These are questions we need to ask ourselves. And that's why I keep doing analysis on, we need this kind of profiles of midfielders, because I have seen this team play 4-3-3 and we are carved open like nobody's business. I have seen this same Manchester United team, maybe not the dots, but the Manchester United say, oh, I've seen us play 4-2-3-1 and we're carved open like nobody's business. I've seen us play, different formations, and we are carved open. 4-2-2-2, carved open. I've seen us crumble under pressure using different formations. Is the problem really the formation or the personnel? Let's ask that question. And when you say players are played out of position, that, we're losing because players are played out of position. The fact is, when a manager, I think sometimes we need to ask ourselves certain questions, and maybe we will learn as we ask ourselves those questions, because we're all learning. When a manager is playing a 4-3-3 formation, 4 at the back, 3 in the midfield, and 3 attack, and he asks his left back or right back to invert into the midfield, is he not playing them out of position? Or he asks one of his midfielders to always drift to the wing in his tactical approach, is he not asking them to play out of position? These are the issues. These are the issues. Or when Pep asks Bernardo Silva against Arsenal to play as a kind of left back. I remember that match, Arsenal's home, if you remember. And later he brought Bernardo Silva that same game to play as a wing. I think they won that game 2-0. I think Alan scored. That was a game where it was a very tough match. I think both of them were dragging for the title. Maybe the second season of Arsenal, finishing second. And was he not playing out of position? The fact is, managers make tweaks. And that is football tactics. That's modern football tactics. And players are asked to play positions that they would not have normally played. Sir Alex Ferguson, our great Sir Alex Ferguson, played players in certain positions. Ryan Giggs played midfield at one point. O'Shea did a lot of playing all positions. But I know that, yes, when you lose, that can be a point. But the fact is, there are many managers in world football today that make certain tweaks, and certain players find themselves in certain positions. Now, let's even address the issue. What players are being played out of position? Let's address it. In that team currently, I can only say 2 players are played out of position. 2 players are played out of position. If you want to go by your metric. Ahmad plays wing back, right? And he doesn't play wing back in every game. The manager chooses the exact games to use Ahmad as a wing back. And the exact games the manager chooses Ahmad as a wing back is games where he believes we will have more of the ball and we will be the more dominating and more attacking side. Because I've said it also before that I am partially for and against that decision of Ahmad playing wing back, because it doesn't make sense if we don't have the ball. When we don't have the ball, it's stupid using a talented winger like Ahmad doing the defensive work. But look at the games this season where Ahmad has played wing back. E.g. Burnley game. Very effective. Sometimes when you look at the heat map of Ahmad in the Burnley game, the heat map of Ahmad is synonymous to the heat map he had when he was a winger. Because as a winger, are you telling me a winger is not going to go and defend back? Are you telling me a winger is not going to push forward? That's what he was doing. The heat map, especially against Burnley, where we had, at least we had more of the ball then in that game, he was dominating. In fact, the third goal we scored in that game, that penalty, was caused by an attacking instinct of Amad Diallo into the box and was put down. It was a terror. He was playing wing back. You say Bruno Fernandes is playing as one of the double. I've given my opinion on this. And funny enough, I'm not trying to support the manager, but this is something that people that watch us, people that our guys on the podcast, before I even had about the name Ruben Amorim coming to Man United, I have said it that I really see Bruno playing deeper. I just said, I see, and I've said it, I've done an episode on it, I really see the evolution of this guy deeper. Somebody said, Oli mentioned something like that, but I've not confirmed that. But I think someone said that Oli had a statement like that he sees Bruno as someone like Andre Pirlo. But I've always said, I just see this guy playing deeper. It's just a feeling and what I see in his game. And then I was going through social media as usual, and I came across an interview of Ancelotti when he was talking about how that he made Andre Pirlo a regista. Andre Pirlo was normally a number 10. And he made Andre Pirlo a regista. And Andre Pirlo evolved to become a regista. And I was like, I've not seen Bruno. Just like sometimes when I see Bruno play that position, yes, I know that there are a lot of issues because when you use Bruno as a register, in that position is playing as a number 8, you also want to have a very solid defensive midfielder behind him. And as I say, when Pirlo was playing as a register, Gattuso was behind him in AC Milan, if I'm not mistaken. But I've always seen Bruno in that position. And for me, it's like, if I was to go to Manchester United, I just really see that, because it's something I've said before I even knew who was Ruben Amorim. I just see this guy playing there. I believe he's playing there because a register, one of the qualities of a register is the ability not just to push the team forward, which I believe Bruno can do because of the energy and everything, but also he has the ability to spray different variation of passes. This guy has it. And for before, even when I think it was during the oldest time I mentioned it, I see this guy as a register. Yes, I know when we're talking about player evolution, sometimes you that see it is only you that see it. Other people cannot see it at that moment. The same way when Ancelotti told Pirlo, who was a number 10, that I want you to become a register, it looks like the same way when I'm sure when Sir Alex told Ryan Giggs, I want you to play centrally, it looks like, what are you saying? What are you saying? The same way they would have told Philip Lam, or Kimmich, sorry. I think Kimmich, based on what I saw, what I've seen, they say Kimmich play, I think it was first of all, a right back, if I'm not mistaken. And I remind that same and say you can evolve as a midfielder. Sometimes the evolution, when it comes to player evolution, it's only you that see it until it actually works. And I've just seen it that way. And when I see Amorim using that, I'm like, this is what I would have actually done. Maybe I might not be playing the 3-4-3 system, but I just know that this is what this guy can do. Yes, but I know the conditions are not yet perfect in terms of the kind of midfielder that should be behind him. I understand these things. Now, let me talk about another point. I'm just trying to run through a lot of things that I saw and I want to react to. I saw about the penalty that Bruno Fernandes missed, because we're talking about players and decisions of the manager, right? And people said, why didn't Bruno give Kunwa the penalty? I think one of the things about life is hindsight. It's very, very sweet to judge in hindsight. If Bruno had given Kunwa the penalty and Kunwa missed the penalty, it is also easy for you to say, why did Bruno give Kunwa the penalty? Bruno should be a leader to take the penalty. At least he was one that took the penalty against Burnley. So the question, the fact is, there is no winning with you guys. There's no winning. If Bruno plays the penalty and misses it, you say, oh, Bruno should have given Kunwa. If Bruno gives Kunwa and Kunwa misses it, the fact is, why did he give Kunwa? Didn't you know that Kunwa missed the penalty against Grimsby? Or didn't you know that Mbemo missed the penalty against Grimsby? Why did he give them? Bruno is a coward. That's what they will say for giving players penalty when he should be the one to man up. This man is not even a leader. Let him go. I saw another one where people were saying, and I respect your opinions. Please don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to say the opinion sometimes we have to also look at it. We advocated, and I take blame for it also because I'm not ashamed to come out to say that Maguire should start. We did an episode on it. Maguire should start because of aerial threat, right? But the way football is that different teams give you different threats. And Brentford gave us a threat. Yeah, Maguire was good on the area, but Maguire was not good in the high line, which Euro would have been better, which delete. So it's give and take, and we make mistakes. We make mistakes. It was a mistake for Ruben Amorim to start at Maguire. It was a mistake for me to come and say that Maguire should have started against Brentford. Because he disappointed himself. He disappointed himself, not me. He disappointed himself because when you look at the goals, I was talking to the boys, we were analyzing the goals he scored. And I found out that the first goal that Brentford scored Man United, if you look at the highlights and everything, it was first of all, a wrong pass from Dalot, right? Dalot should have passed from Mbemo, not passing through the pressure points, right? Okay, they did a long ball. The moment Shaw and Delete saw that they did a long ball, they moved upward to put Igor, or the striker of Brentford, to put him offside, right? Maguire forgot himself. And Maguire was not like, oh, I should have moved with them. Before you know, yes, the striker was already onside. And he went to score. The second goal also, they all went in the same line. Maguire should have been there. He was behind. He kept on pressing onside. What tactics do you want to use that will teach Maguire that how to keep onside? Especially, or unless if you want to blame Ruben Amorim now for not teaching Maguire how to play offside trap. Maguire at his age. The same Maguire that did rubbish 2 years ago against the same Brentford when a certain minder was there, Eddie Ten Hag. And people now say, why didn't Euro start? If Euro has started and you have lost, they say, why didn't he put Maguire? It's that you cannot win. I hope you get the message. You cannot win because it's always people said that's what the people I had some people say, which I respectfully I'm addressing respectfully without any disrespect, please. Where they said, why did what they call it? Why did Amorim not start Lamens? Bayinde actually had a decent game in that match. But the fact is, when you concede 3, it's difficult to say you have a decent game because you consider 3, right? But when they said, why did Ruben Amorim not start Lamens? If Ruben Amorim has started Lamens and we considered 3 without poor defending that our defenders did, that last match, and we now concede 3, we now lose 3-1. These people will now say, why did you use Lamens? He's like, when you know this boy is not ready, why did you use him? The question is, can you win? Can you win really? Can you win really? Yeah, another reaction, which is the last reaction before I talk about Ruben Amorim and talk about his own problems, is the fact that people said, sack Ruben Amorim, which I'm not against it, please. I'm not against sacking Ruben Amorim. No. If you want to sack him, sack him. My own job, I'm not even a Ruben Amorim fan. Funny enough, if you look at our past episodes, the manager I was advocating for to come to Man United was Julian Nagelsmann. I said it that if Man United was going to get a coach, you can go to our video, you can even check our shots that we did around that period where I said that we should either go for a Spanish and a German coach. And I explained that the most successful coaches in world football have come from majorly 2 countries, Germany and Spain. I was like, get a Spaniard or get a German. That's what I said then. So, but the fact is, I support Manchester United, analyze Manchester United, and I try to be objective in everything I do. So it's not that I'm supporting the manager, which I also talk about his own faults. But now, they said Oliver Glasner adapts. That is an is a manager that can adapt to the players available. And I'm like, okay, I understand that. Okay, let's see if that's actually true. And then, first of all, I had to ask a question first of all about Oliver Glasner. If we say 3-4-3 formation is the problem, that if Ruben Amorim could tweak the formation, why are we see the same people advocating for Oliver Glasner that plays 3-4-3 formation to come into the club? That for me, yeah, I get the other names that have been associated with, and I think I've addressed Xavi Hernandez's own about the fact that Xavi Hernandez plays possession-based football, and you need to get in players that plays that pattern, right? But my question is, I don't get if 3-4-3 formation is the problem, and we all agree that maybe we agree is the problem now. Let's agree that's the problem now. Let's assume that's the problem. Why are we chasing a manager playing 3-4-3 and going to bring another manager playing 3-4-3? But people now say, no, he adapts. He's a good manager, he adapts. Now, let me go through Oliver Glasner's tactical history, the clubs he has managed. He has managed Wolfsburg, he managed Frankfurt, he managed Crystal Palace, right? I think he managed LASK also. But now, they said in LASK, he used consistently a 3-4-2-1 formation. 3 at the back, 4 in the midfield, 2 and 1. That's exactly what Ruben Amorim is doing in LASK. He went to Wolfsburg. That's Oliver Glasner now. He moved from his 3-4-2-1 formation. That's after playing the first half of the season. He played his first season in 3-4-2-1, right? And then in the second season at Wolfsburg, he moved to a 4-2-3-1 formation. Midway. That's in his half of his first season. He moved to a 4-2-3-1 formation. He said he also utilized in his time at Wolfsburg a 3-4-3 formation and 4-3-3 formation. So in Wolfsburg, there was variation, right? Now, he went to Frankfurt. In Frankfurt, he used a 3-4-2-1 formation and he used a 3-2-5 formation. In Crystal Palace, he's using currently a 3-4-2-1 formation. Now, this is a manager that for at least 90% of his footballing career has used a 3 at the back formation, a 4 in midfield formation, 2 inside forwards, and 1 striker. This is what he has used. And the fact is, when I now looked at it, I said, okay, did he actually adapt to what was at Crystal Palace? Or did he change Crystal Palace formation? The last 2 managers for Crystal Palace were Roy Hodgson and Patrick Vieira, yeah. And Patrick Vieira majorly played the 4-3-3 formation. Majorly, there was few moments. I think he played the 3 at the back, few moments against bigger sides, right? But majorly, Patrick Vieira played the 4-3-3 formation or a 4-2-3-1 formation, right? Roy Hodgson played a 4-4-1-1 formation, or a 4-4-2 formation. That's what he played. The last 2 managers at Crystal Palace played 4 at the back. And this man that has played 90% of his career playing 3 at the back came into Crystal Palace and played 3 at the back. That's a team that's been playing 4-4-2. I'd play 4 at the back. We changed it to 3 at the back, 4 in midfield, 2 inside forwards, and 1 striker. So, where is that fact coming from? That is an adaptive manager when 90% of his coaching career has been playing 3 at the back. What is the assurance that when he comes, he will change to a 4-3-3 formation? A formation that he is coming to United side where he wants to be successful. He is brought in because he was playing a certain way, right? So if 90% of the time he has been playing 3 at the back, do you think he will now dump that 3 at the back and now go for something that he has only played for 10% of his footballing career, of his coaching career? We have to analyze it. It's just like saying Pep has been, should I still be giving these examples? Pep has been playing possession-based football. You now say, you have been playing possession-based football for 90% of your career. Okay, now come and change to playing counter-attack. Do you think he's going to dump what he used 90% of his career to play, to come and adapt to play 10%? The same adapting that managers have been doing in this club, they were adapting and they are still failing. Do you think he's going to adapt? I think we have to ask ourselves some questions. Let us not just call out names. Let's ask ourselves. Let us know the managers we are bringing. Don't just call names. Understand, who is this manager? What has he done in his career? What formation does he play? What profile does he need for a system to work? Another thing, this is the last thing I'll say before I go to Ruben Amorim and then I talk about luck. People say, all Ruben Amorim needs to do, and you are right for your own opinion, I respect your opinion, is switch back to 4-3-3. And I'm like, okay, and then what? And then what? You see, I'm playing to the strength of the players. Okay, what's the strength of the players? Because 4-3-3 is not a strength, it's a system, right? It's a system, right? When he plays 4-3-3, as you say, you should play it. What kind of 4-3-3 is he playing? Are you telling him to play possession-based 4-3-3? Or are you telling him to play pressing and counter-pressing 4-3-3? We need to understand what exactly is the strength of this player that we have. Because we've seen these people try possession-based under Ten Hag first season. It did not work. Ten Hag had to dump it. Right? And if you say, no, they are new players. The fact is, the core of this team that will make us, the midfield of this team were the same midfield that were in Ten Hag's era. All the midfielders here were in Ten Hag's era. There's no new midfielder that has been brought in that's different from what was in Ten Hag's era. Right? Okay. If this midfield cannot play possession under Ten Hag, what makes you believe they will play possession when Ruben Amorim say let's play possession? Okay, let's assume you don't want to play possession. Let's go counter-attack. Right? Are you really sure this thing can play counter-attack? Are you really sure? And is counter-attack what we want to still be doing in this era? Let's ask ourselves some questions. Because remember when Oli was playing counter-attack, or when even Mourinho tried all those defensive shape, we criticized. United, why we be playing this? Are we ready for that? When you say pressing, counter-pressing, I also saw under Ten Hag, when they will press high with the mount and everybody, and when they beat our press, pam, 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 because maybe we are not so forceful in our press, and they beat us, pam, 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 everything's open. Are you sure they will not still open us? So just saying, and let's tweak it. Let's go back to 4-3-3. Okay, I get that. But when we get to 4-3-3, what exactly are we going to play? Because 4-3-3 will not stop the kind of defensive errors we saw last game. Because when we're using the same formation, we see those errors. Now let me move to Ruben Amorim. I feel, first of all, I've said it many times, I salute his sticking to his system. I think I would respect him more as a manager if he even gets sacked playing his 3-4-3 formation. I would respect him more. Because what I clamored for when we sacked Erik ten Hag was I wanted a manager that sticks to his system. And if the club decided that the person they wanted to bring in was Ruben Amorim playing a 3 at the back, then I respect him for sticking to his system. Because if I had gotten, for example, Nagelsmann that I wanted, for example, I would also expect Nagelsmann to stick to his high-intensity football. Don't change for any player. We've changed a lot and we're not still successful. We play counter-attack football to accommodate the likes of Rashford. Yet, it's always little success here and there. Because funny enough, we're complaining about the formation right now, but the fact is when we're playing 4-3-3, it wasn't about the formation. It was about the pattern of play. Abi? How we play? Trying to play possession-based football. Why don't we play long ball to the Rashford? Later it was while we're trying to play high-intensity pressing football, the players are getting tired under Ragnick. The training is too hard. We've had a lot of those things. Yet, this issue has not yet changed. Yeah, but also, for Ruben Amorim, I think I have to also talk about the fact that this substitution has to improve. I keep saying it. I think the last 2 games, I was not happy with the choice of substitution. And I will say it. I felt against Chelsea, it was crazy. The kind of substitutions he was doing. Crazy substitutions. And I felt against Brentford, bringing Kobe Mino in was also a wrong decision. Wrong decision. But we are 2-1 up and everything. So, but I feel he himself needs to do a lot of work in terms of helping the morale of these boys. We have to help them. Yeah, I know, yes, their morale have been dead before he came. But the fact is you are the manager. It's your responsibility to improve the morale of these boys. You have to improve the morale of these boys. You have to get them to win. And I feel for as long as you still have your job, get them to win. Get them to win. Get them to win. You have to get them to win. And I think another thing I want to say about it is that sometimes, and I felt that against Brentford, sometimes we should approach the game a little bit different. Because I said that in the preview, I did not like the fact that, even though I know why he's doing that, but sometimes I keep saying it, I know why he wants to be dominating, but sometimes, especially like that Brentford match, we just needed the 3 points. Whichever way we call it 3 points, we needed the 3 points. If it means us defending deep and hitting on the counter-attack. Sometimes, see, there are some games where, and I think I said it in the preview, where you forget the tactics, get the 3 points. And I felt that Brentford game, I didn't want to know the tactics. But when I saw that we still went to Brentford playing a high line, I have to question that. Because the players we are using to play the high line, especially Maguire, was not okay. Was not okay. And I felt we should have approached it in a different way. Yes, I know it's United going to Brentford. We should dominate and get our goal. But also, we should also, not approach everything like dominating. Because at these games, you just want to get your 3 points. You just have to get your 3 points. And we did not get that 3 points because we just need the momentum.